Emergencies are part of life, but financial stress doesn't have to be. Today, we'll build an emergency fund ladder that gives you fast access when the unexpected hits, steady interest while your money rests, and a clear path from zero to solid security. An emergency fund is cash set aside for real surprises you can't predict or postpone. Think job loss, a sudden medical bill, a broken water heater, or an urgent ticket home. The goal is not to make you rich. The goal is to keep a crisis from turning into costly debt. First, let's define what we're actually funding. Core expenses are the must-pay costs you need to keep life stable for 1 month. Rent or mortgage, basic food, utilities, transportation, insurance, and minimum debt payments. They exclude nice-to-haves like eating out, new gadgets, or vacations. Because emergencies demand speed, we use a ladder. A ladder means different rungs for different jobs. Cash for the first few days sits right where you can grab it instantly, while the rest earns more interest without getting risky or locked away. Here's the structure. The first rung is 1 month of core expenses in your checking account. The second rung is the next 2 months in a separate high-yield savings account. The stretch goal is to grow that savings account to a total of 6 months. High-yield savings simply means a bank savings account that pays a higher interest rate than standard savings, while still letting you withdraw quickly. Liquidity means how fast you can access money without losing value. High-yield savings typically offers good liquidity and some interest, which is why it belongs on the middle and top rungs. Let's make this concrete with numbers. Suppose your core monthly expenses are $2,000 in your local currency. Because you want this to be simple to manage, we align the plan to payday. If you're paid twice per month, set 2 recurring transfers that fire on payday mornings. First, transfer enough into checking to keep your 1-month buffer intact. Second, send the rest of your emergency fund contribution straight into your high-yield savings. Here's a straightforward automation you can set up today. Open or rename 2 accounts so they re-unmissable. Emergency checking rung and emergency savings rung. On each payday, auto-transfer a fixed amount, say 10% of your take-home, into emergency savings rung, but only after you've topped up emergency checking rung to the 1-month target. Once checking is full, all contributions go to savings until you hit 3 months, then you keep going towards 6. If you're starting from 0, you might ask how long this will take. With the 2,000 example, reaching the first 1,000 might be your quick win. At $400 per payday in savings contributions, you could reach the initial 3-month 6,000 target in roughly 8 pay periods, or about 4 months on a twice-monthly schedule. The exact timeline depends on your income and what else you're tackling, but a visible countdown keeps motivation high. Because life changes, build a small automatic step up. Every quarter, increase your emergency contribution by 1 times 2% of take-home, or a flat 25. This gentle nudge helps your fund keep pace with rising costs without feeling painful. If a quarter is tight, you can skip the step up once, then resume. Let's handle the common mistake head-on. Many people park everything in checking because it feels safest. The problem is that checking tends to earn little or no interest, and money that sits in the same place you spend from tends to leak into daily purchases. The correction is to cap checking at 1 month and let the rest live in high-yield savings, where it's still liquid, but slightly out of reach and working for you. Next comes a useful decision rule you can apply today. Aim for a 1-2-6 ladder. 1 month in checking, 2 additional months in high-yield savings as your first milestone, and a stretch to 6 months in the same savings account. If you're early in the journey, don't worry about perfect yields or fancy products. Simplicity beats optimization at this stage. Now a brief nuance for variable income. If your pay changes month to month, set 2 guardrails. First, base your monthly target contribution on your worst month take-home from the last year, so your plan survives lean months. Second, add a month-end sweep. If your checking balance sits above the 1-month target after all bills clear, automatically sweep the excess into the savings rung. This percent and sweep combo lets good months accelerate your ladder without risking short months. There is also an if-then boundary worth noting. If you carry very high interest debt and it's causing stress, Then keep the checking rung at 1 month and split new contributions between an extra debt payment and the savings rung until the rate drops or the balance is manageable. Protect your basic liquidity first, then attack the costly debt without leaving yourself exposed. Because emergencies rarely schedule themselves, keep access simple. Make sure you can transfer instantly from the savings rung back to checking through your banking app. Consider setting a personal rule like 2-step confirmation, ERUS, before touching the savings rung. First you name the emergency in writing, then you move the money. The pause helps prevent casual dipping. Let's revisit the example to see the ladder in motion. You start with 500 in checking and 0 in savings. What if an emergency hits in month 3 and you need 700 for a car repair? You pay from checking immediately, dropping it to 1,300. On your very next payday, your automation first refills checking back toward 2,000, then resumes sending the surplus to savings. The ladder flexes and resets without you rebuilding everything from scratch. Because inflation and life events change your core expenses, revisit the target once or twice per year. If rent rises by 100, your 1-month rung rises by 100, your 3-month rises by 300, and your 6-month by 600. Update the account nicknames and your automated transfer so the plan keeps matching reality. As you approach your 6-month stretch, remind yourself why you built this. 6 months is not a magic number. It's a buffer that buys time to make decisions carefully. If your household relies on a single income, or your job is harder to replace, you might choose to extend to 9 months. If both incomes are stable and expenses are flexible, you might pause at 3 months and redirect new savings to other goals, knowing you can always resume. A quick word on mental habits. Name your accounts with intention, celebrate each full month funded, and track progress visibly. Behavior follows labels, and clarity reduces the urge to raid the fund for non-emergencies. You're building calm as much as you're building cash. Finally, keep the plan boring. Boring is good here. You are not chasing returns with your emergency money. You are buying stability. The win is sleeping better and avoiding panic borrowing when life throws a curveball. So here's your single memorable takeaway. 1 month within reach, 2 months earning quietly, 6 months as your safety net, and an automation that climbs the ladder for you while you live your life. If this helped you feel more prepared, like and subscribe for more clear, practical money guides.